Hello, welcome to Hotline.
Welcome to RGR Hotline and to Hotline Interface. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thursday, the 31st January 2019. It's good to have you on the last day of the month. We start a new month tomorrow with new dreams, new aspirations, new hopes, and I'm delighted you could join us. Welcome to those joining at home on Jnn. Good to have you. For those joining on your cell phones from the US, UK, Canada, wherever in the world you are, or if you're joining on the RGR app on the Google Play Store, great having you this Thursday morning. This is Hotline Interface.
Emily's views, her position on the issues, her point of view backed up by the facts. Here are Emily's views.
So the state of emergency in St. James comes to an end today. You can imagine that there is quite a bit of fear on the part of residents in St. James. Fears were expressed the moment we were told that the opposition would not consent to its renewal. And I can imagine today that fears will be heightened. There's very little I can do to console the people of St. James, that they need to be calm, that what we need to do now is to build on the trust that has been developed between the police and the citizens over the last 12 months. What that means, therefore, if you know of crimes that have been committed in the past and of people who have been held by the police in relation to those crimes, but you have failed so far to give statements to the police about those crimes, and the police may still have those individuals detained under the power of state of emergency, knowing that today is the last day and they're going to be released, you will need to give information in the form of a statement to the police so that charges can be laid against those individuals. When charges are laid, they can be denied bail. They can go to court and they can make an application for bail, and it would be up to a judge under all of the circumstances that would ordinarily be considered under the Constitution and under the Bail Act for the judge to decide whether to grant bail. But the only way in which those who are now detained under the state of emergency and who are feared by the people of St. James, the only way they can be kept off the streets for any time longer would be if the people of St. James give statements to the police that can form the basis of a charge. I think now, after the state of emergency has ended, we will also see what use, if any, the police, the High Command, has made of the state of emergency. What DNA samples did they collect? What forensic basis have they built up? Let me take a break and come back with you.
We're back with you on Hotline and Hotline Interface. So I think, as I was saying, that we will now see what use the security forces, the police in particular, since they are the prosecutorial, the first arm of the prosecutorial arm of the government. What use have they made of forensics? How much have they stored? Because regrettably, crimes will take place in St. James after the state of emergency has been lifted. And when those crimes take place, what I expect is that when statements are collected from residents and when the crime scene is processed and forensic evidence is extracted from those crime scenes, that the police should know by virtue of the state of emergency, they should have a really great forensic database against which they can match whatever it is they get from crime scenes after the state of emergency has been lifted. And once they do that, they can then compare what they get on crime scenes to what they have in their forensic database. And that is how they're going to get a hit. That is the kind of help that the state of emergency should have given to the police. If they don't have that, the state of emergency would have, on that score, failed. In today's newspaper, in the Gleaner, I see the Minister of National Security saying that if crimes begin to be on the rise and spiral out of control in St. James again, then the Prime Minister will reimpose a state of emergency. And that is his right. But for the moment, let's try the way I'm suggesting, residents, and please give statements to the police. Now, the next thing in my views today, Tuesday, Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, chaired by Mark Golding. A number of issues came up for discussion. The thing I want to focus on now is this matter of the forensic audit into Petrojam. And the question was raised by the chairman of PAC, Mark Golding, about the audit. Here is the question, and here is the response that came from the permanent secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Sanchia Bennett Templar. Let's hear Mr. Golding.
And there was a discussion of it in terms of its scope and how the procurement would be done to ensure that it was independent and transparently done. Could you give data as to where we are with that, with the procuring of a forensic audit to look into some of the issues that have been raised in this report?
Sure, Chairman. Morning, Chairman. Morning, members. Morning to the team from the Auditor General's office as well. With respect to the forensic audit, Chairman, the terms of reference for that audit has been completed, and Petrojam will proceed to market to procure a consultant to undertake that forensic audit of oil losses as soon as we have completed the procurement process.
Could we see the terms of reference, please? We would like to see that, the terms of reference of that procurement.
Certainly, that can be provided.
To see how broad the scope is. And you say that the procurement is going to be done by Petrojam itself?
It will be done by Petrojam itself, but it will be done by open tender. Open tender, right? Yeah, by public tender. So in other words, persons will meet the requisite requirements and be evaluated, and would be then an independent firm of auditors with the requisite experience to undertake a forensic audit of oil losses. In other words, having knowledge of industry and industry practices and arrangements and so on.
Given that it's a forensic audit looking into losses, unaccounted for losses that are billions of dollars, don't you think that the procurement of the auditors to do this forensic audit should be extraneous and separate from the management of Petrojam itself? And its parent company, PCJ. This was a point we made at the last meeting. We feel that the procurement should be taken out of that, and really, I think, done through the Ministry of Finance. The Auditor General had indicated a willingness, I think, to provide some kind of advisory support for that process. But we really think that to ask Petrojam and its management team, albeit that there have been many changes to that management team over this period, and those changes seem to be ongoing, But nevertheless, there are many persons within the company who have been there for many years and so on. And I think that the public would feel a lot more comfort if the procurement of this audit team to do this audit and the process wasn't managed by Petrojam itself. It does appear to me to be the person, it's like the person on trial choosing their own prosecutor, judge, and jury.
That's Mark Golding, chairman of PAC, ending that excerpt with a brilliant comment. There's more, and interesting more too, because Junior Minister Everett Warmington, sometimes we get some gems from Everett Warmington. He can be a bit abrasive and all the other adjectives that you know. But when he does reason, the reason is quite logical. Mr. Warmington said it was totally logical to have thought of Petrojam having the terms of reference, drafting the terms of reference in the first place. And being honest, he said we need to have a system that is totally transparent. So I was quite stunned when I was watching that exchange in Parliament on Tuesday, hearing firstly that the terms of reference were drafted, and they would have been drafted by Petrojam, it would appear. And remember, all of this is coming from the Chief Accounting Officer in the ministry, the Permanent Secretary Sanchia Bennett Templar, and she told the committee, which you heard, that they would now proceed to market, to procure a consultant, and that Petrojam would be in charge of the procurement, except the procurement would go by public tender, and they would have hands-off where that is concerned. But terms of reference drafted, they're managing the procurement process. All of that was quite strange. And it got stranger because yesterday, a press release came out from the office of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is now the Energy Minister, Energy God. And the Prime Minister's, the release from OPM said Petrojam is not being asked to undertake a forensic audit or to appoint a forensic auditor. Well, in the first place, nobody said Petrojam was going to undertake the forensic audit. They were going to be responsible for procurement, so they would have a say in how the matter was going to be put to public tender. Number two, no terms of reference has been finalized or approved by the Prime Minister. So within a matter of 24 hours, what we have before the Parliament is the Chief Accounting Officer of Parliament telling the people that the terms of reference had been finalized, and then the OPM is saying they've not been finalized, nor have they been approved by the Prime Minister. What they said is that there were some preliminary proposals that were sent to OPM and nothing more. And number three, the terms of reference has to go through a review process involving the Prime Minister, the Ministry of Finance and the public person, and other persons or entities as may be determined to have an interest. And they quote the Public Bodies Management and Accountability Act, on which the statutory basis for the carrying out of a public audit, a forensic audit is outlined. I'm amazed as to how there could be this big difference in information transmitted to the people of Jamaica by the Permanent Secretary and then by the OPM. And part of the problem may be because we continue to have the Prime Minister having oversight of the Energy Ministry. There's clearly a lag between the passing of information from one key personnel in the ministry, which is the Permanent Secretary, and the Prime Minister as the Minister of Energy. No one doesn't even know what position to accept at this moment, because how is it that the Permanent Secretary didn't know this information that the Prime Minister is now communicating to us on so crucial a matter? The Petrojam issues have been in the news for maybe close to a year now. And the matter of forensic audit is so crucial that I would have thought the permanent secretary would have at least known whether the terms of reference were agreed before she told the parliament. And that is quite strange. We will try and figure out for you what is really going on and why is there a gap between what the permanent secretary says and what the office of the Prime Minister steps in to do what it says to clarify. More, those are my views for the moment. Welcome back to Hotline Interface. Thank you so much for rejoining us. Yesterday in the news, you would have seen on the front page of the Gleaner, police feud. Federation boots boss after 2 days of crossfire. And the boss is Arlene McBean, a woman who for the first time in 75 years, we had a woman who was the chairman of the Police Federation. And the report says that she was removed by the executive of the Federation, the Union for the Rank and File Police, following a no confidence motion. Decision came after 2 days of an extraordinary meeting with the delegates of the body between Monday and Tuesday. A circular from the Police Federation obtained by the Gleaner said the body deliberated on, quote, internal matters, end quote, during, quote, frank, factual and clear discussions on the state of the Police Federation, end quote. Then it continues with the quotation. At the end of these deliberations, we agreed to restructure the leadership of the Federation. And the Gleaner said several police sources confirmed the development, though they mentioned that they were unaware of the internal issues that triggered McBean's dramatic exit. Last year, she was involved in a major standoff with the government over police wages, oftentimes using confrontational language to express her frustration. So what really happened here, we're trying to better understand it because, especially at a time when, when we look to our South American neighbor and friend in Latin America, Venezuela, and we see Juan Guaido swearing himself in as interim leader of Venezuela under a provision in the Constitution. And we look in Jamaica, in the Police Federation, we see the executive of the Central Committee of the Federation using perhaps similar powers to oust a sitting chairman of the Police Federation and to install another member of the Central Executive, the Central Committee, as a chairman. And we understand that Corporal McBean remains a member of the Central Committee. It's very strange, but we're trying to understand it. We're supposed to be joined by the current chairman of the Police Federation by virtue of this no confidence motion and vote, and he is Inspector Sheldon Gordon. So we'll get him in just a moment. We've not been able to reach him just yet, but we expect to have him. We'd also love to hear from Corporal McBean. So I've been trying to figure out what is going on. I must tell you what my sources have been saying. Yeah? What are these internal issues? A lot of people don't want to speak, but we understand that there is a police welfare fund. And inside the force, it is alleged that the welfare fund is being mismanaged. Not sure who is in charge of the management of the fund, but it is being mismanaged. I'm made to understand that the Central Committee of the Federation told then Chairman Corporal McBean not to make any public comment on the alleged mismanagement of this welfare fund to the public. So whatever is going on, you make sure you keep it a secret. And I'm understanding that at some point in time, Corporal McBean stepped out of the line of that dictate, and she disclosed some information about the alleged mismanagement of the welfare fund. As I said, I don't know who runs the welfare fund. Perhaps it is in some law, but I would love the current chairman to come and give us some more information. So that is one of the big issues that they had with Corporal Arlene McBean. Yeah? There were some other internal breaches. I'm understanding that there was abuse of authority. There were, whatever it is that they could investigate, they said that there were enough things to investigate and for her to be brought up to answer internally. But people, even though they understood that there were those internal issues, some of the people who are speaking off the record say that they were surprised that the vote was taken and that this is the outcome. Yeah? So we would like to know a little bit more. I think it would be good to also hear from Corporal Arlene McBean as well. Yeah, they accuse her of abuse of process, of overstepping her bounds, and all those kinds of things. And so great were the allegations against her that she was unceremoniously removed by a vote of no confidence with 5 months, 4.5 to 5 months at most left for the election of a new chairman of the Federation. I'm understanding it's not the first time that a chairman has been removed by this means, but it would be rare. And because it is so rare, it becomes a point for great interest by members of the public. Yeah? But we don't have Inspector Sheldon Gordon just yet. So we're going to try and reach him. Until such time, perhaps we can take some of your calls. We don't have Inspector Gordon yet. Inspector Sheldon Gordon, remember you were supposed to be talking to us this morning. So we're trying to reach you. Yeah? Let's take a couple calls in the meantime. 876-926-2178, 926-8631, 926-7615, 1-888-991-2080. This is the hotline and hotline interface. I was trying to look as well for when is it that Ms. McBean spoke to the media about the alleged mismanagement of the welfare fund. If any of you out there can find any public comment that she made about this alleged mismanagement, I'd be happy to be drawn, my attention to be drawn to that, because I haven't seen it. But that I understand was one of the bases on which a no confidence motion was brought against her, and perhaps one of the bases on which it succeeded. Yeah? So the police seem to be saying, our internal business, you keep it in here. Yeah? If you go out there and tell the public, you're going to have to answer to us. And she breached that guideline. Your call? Do we have a call online now? The executive of the Federation, the role of the executive versus the role of the general membership of the Federation. Because part of the challenge, you see, viewers and listeners, when you have an institution that is set up by law, the Police Federation was set up by the Constabulary Force Act. And if you look at Section 67 of the Constabulary Force Act, you will see where it says, for the purpose of enabling the sub-officers and constables of the force to consider and bring to the notice of the Commissioner of Police and the Minister all matters affecting their general welfare and efficiency, there shall be established in accordance with the second schedule an organization to be called the Police Federation, which shall act through branch boards, central conferences, and a central committee as provided in that schedule. And when you look at the second schedule, it is quite comprehensive, the way in which everything is laid out, including too the time at which elections are held for chairman of the federation. So you will hear that it takes place in May, and that is because it is all embedded in the law and it is outlined in the second schedule. So when you have election round about May and the large body of the electorate, those who are qualified to vote, those who turn up to vote, actually cast a secret ballot, and even the information around the ballot, it's all outlined in the second schedule. They cast a secret ballot for their chairman of their federation. They give the vote of confidence to that individual after some internal campaigning. It must be quite exceptional circumstances prevailing during the term of office why the term would be abbreviated by a vote of no confidence by the Central Committee, which is a minute group representing the overall body of the federation carrying out the administrative and executive functions. So I don't think that they would move or should move lightly in bringing a no confidence motion against a democratically elected chairman of the federation. And that they have done that in this way, it becomes a point of interest. Yeah? What caused it? Why couldn't you wait until the next election? Right down the road? It's not as if it's a 3, 4, 5, 6 year term where she's only 1 year in the term and you can't wait. She has a few more months to go. Why? Anyway, I'm not going to speculate anymore. I tell you what I have. And I expect the Federation chairman, the current chairman, to give us the answers when he comes. Let me take a break. We'll try and see if we can connect with Inspector Sheldon Gordon during the break. And we'll take some of your calls if you're not able to reach Inspector Gordon. But this is Hotline Interface. We're back with you on Hotline and Hotline Interface. I'm going to take some of your calls. We're not reaching our guest who was booked to be with us, Inspector Sheldon Gordon. So talk with me about your concerns about the issues that are on your mind. I see the discussion has started in the Joint Select Committee about proposed amendments to the law in relation to abortion. And I'm sure I saw in the paper this morning, oh yeah, Father Richard Holong yesterday declared that he would rather face death than have the future of Jamaica eliminated through the legalization of abortion. In a quote, "It is better for us to eliminate our whole race, our whole country. I prefer to die than have our children be eliminated. It is important that you understand that," Holong said steps away from the Parliament building where a debate was scheduled on the motion to legalize abortion. He was among several church leaders who stood in unified protest against the move in Parliament. The motion in June last year by West Rural St. Andrew MP Juliet Cuthbert Flynn for government to decriminalize abortion and provide women with safe and affordable methods. in a court. Once I heard of this matter of abortion being pushed, I know you're talking about very big money. You're talking about billions of dollars by persons who want to suppress the growth of populations in smaller countries instead of helping them. What? So, Father, how long think is moneyed interest putting Juliet Cuthbert Flynn up to this motion? Huh? And it's about population control as opposed to the right of a woman to decide what she wants to do with her body? Population control? But we have to remember that even if there is the laws change and abortion is somehow brought in the realm that Cuthbert Flynn wants to bring it, there are other people who will not do it. There are others who won't do it. So at the moment it's going on illegally. Thousands based on the numbers. The Gleaner this morning says a respected medical doctor citing local experts and international experts estimated that between 6,000 and 22,000 abortions are performed in Jamaica each year. So if that is happening now without the law, how is any moneyed hand pushing population control if the law is changed? The law is going to change to just allow people to do legally now what they're doing illegally. Allow them to do legally then what they're doing illegally now. It's not about moneyed interests. I'd love to hear some more from Father Holong. I have a lot of respect for his thought processes. We may disagree on this one. Do we have a caller anywhere there?
Yes, Mrs.
Welcome. Who is this? Good morning.
You here to call me now to tell you my name.
Pardon?
Now to tell you my name for you know who.
You know who?
You must man, no Craig Head call, man.
Me can't hear you.
Craig Head call.
Let me turn it up a little bit more. It sounds like walking shop.
Yeah, no walking shop I call you, man.
Because them have me on the TV, me can't hear you with no walking shop.
I'm man a walking shop there, I can't shout you.
Yes, the sound is different when me on the TV.
Okay.
Yes, me can't. What one day?
There everything good, you know, just one problem me have, you know what they say, the road problem, man.
Yes.
Yeah, man, I want to bring down some material and on the road. Bad.
Yes. And who are your MP again?
Hardly Sherman.
Man a Bush?
Yes, man a Bush.
Yes, man a Bush have to fix Bush Road.
Yeah, man, and a farm road, you know, man.
Yes, him have to fix it, especially in his Minister Bush now.
Yes.
Need to fix it. Yeah?
And
So
I see me one voice up on the radio, you know, but everybody a ball, you know.
voice in the wilderness crying for everybody. Remind me of the roadway again so the minister can hear.
I can get me the man down for the Hectors River Road.
And Hectors River Road, is a long stretch?
Huh?
Is it a long stretch?
No, about half my life 150, you know. That's the cancer me come out a little way, but
Yes.
But you want a big thing, you know, Michelle. There's 60 front part of the road and let the back part.
Yes.
That's the pure condition.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
So, I have to sort it out. Hectors River, Craighead.
I wonder if you can get a hold of him when he come back. But you know there. You know, gone?
When gone?
Gone a foreign man. He gone. He gave on news last night.
Oh. Oh, him gone, something with ganja?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh. Gonna sort out high grade.
Yes, that's yes.
Well, all right.
If you can get a hold of him for me when you come back, Michelle.
Yes, I will do that when he come back.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
All right.
Good to hear you walking shop. Sorry I didn't recognize your voice because when I don't have the headset on for radio, I don't hear with great clarity.
You call them yard and abroad, everybody.
All right, take it easy.
Respect every time.
This is Hotline Interface. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
My name is Mrs. Shields, first time calling you.
It's great to have you. Who am I talking with?
Cher.
Cher?
Yes, I'm originally from Westmoreland, Green. I'm calling from Portmore.
Okay, good to have you.
Thank you, Mrs. Shields.
Yes.
Mrs. Shields, I want to ask you, when someone dies, see how long you had to stay to register them?
I don't know if there's a time.
Oh.
You get the pink slip,
Yes, the burial ready, but Mrs. Shields, 1 year now, my sister I never die, and I can't get no autopsy report, so I was just wondering, every time I check with the police, I can't get through, so I don't know what is happening.
Oh. But when you check with them, why they say it's taking so long?
The last time I went down there, they couldn't find the reports. I had to give statement all over again, so I don't know. And January gone now is 1 year.
That's awful.
Yes.
I don't know. I'd have to check. You should probably put a call to the RGD.
Yes, ma'am.
And see what else they will need. If the autopsy report not being ready,
yes,
if it would delay them. It will, because the cause of death has to be on the death certificate.
Okay, that's what I was
But find out from them what you should do, since you don't have the autopsy report yet.
Yes.
Call RGD. They're stepping up out there.
Okay, thank you, Mrs.
Thank you,
Shields.
Sheriff from Grange Hill in Westmoreland. Out of
Grange.
Which Grange? That's my Grange.
Yes, your Grange, and I knew Mrs. Shields when we were a child, we used to go to the river and stuff like that.
What you said to me? Where in Grange you used to live?
Grange, up in Grange Square there.
Which part down there you used to live? At
Upper Granite,
Full House.
Grange, man. I'm related to the porter them down there, and you know. Yes.
You live with Miss Porter?
I'm related to them. Yes, my mother was porter.
But who you lived with?
Oh, my mother, I live by myself now, you know, but I'm from down there.
No, talking, you say you live down there. Did you live in Grange?
Yes.
Who you live next to? Who was your neighbor down there?
The Mellis. We used to live right across from the Mellis.
Miss Mellis?
Mellis.
Eh?
Mia Mellis. We used to live right across from
Mia Mellis?
Yes.
What? Up by the shop there, so you used to live?
Yes, ma'am. Right across there.
Oh. You were up on the hill or right on the same side as Miss Mellis?
No, over the other side. Not really on the hill. You have to just go a little. You know, in the porter down there.
Where the porter is? Okay, Miss Cooley.
Yes, right over there.
You know, I was drowning in the river when I was about 10.
Yes.
And you know who saved me?
Who?
Miss Cooley.
You're serious? Is my
Miss Porter, yes.
Miss Cooley is my uncle wife.
Okay. So what about Marsasville? You know Marsasville?
Yes, it's my uncle.
What? Fancy that.
And my sister, Amma Never, that died that I was talking to you about. Your grandmother used to be their godmother, you know.
Oh my goodness, that's really lovely. But tell me about Marsasville, because you see, I'm checking out to see if you're genuinely from Grange now, Sheriff.
Yes, I am, Uncle Aswell.
Your uncle, who we call Marsasville.
Yes.
Tell the people what Marsasville used to make him host.
Lord of mercy, some holy pot instrument, Bacchus stop.
Bacchus stop?
What they call it?
No, you really come from Grange for two, Sheriff.
At one time, it was so big that he couldn't even get inside of it.
You are really from Grange, Sheriff?
Yes, I am, Mr. Shields, I am.
Unbelievable. It's like I'm getting goose pimples and tears coming over my eyes. It's so funny.
Yes, I am.
Marsasville, let me tell the listeners this. This man named Marsasville in the country. I really, really love my country and love my country people. It's so funny. My eyes welling up. It's all emotional for me.
Yes, it is.
Marsasville. Hold on, Cher. Marsasville built his house, listeners, with Bacchus topper. Every single cap of aerated water that was left on the road from the long breath from Glenbrook down to Grange, down to Fort William, wherever, Marsasville picked them up and built a house out of Bacchus topper. And I'm meeting now for the first, well, I don't remember Cher, but it's Cher's uncle.
Yes.
I'm happy to hear from you.
Me too, Mrs. Shields.
Oh.
There's so much I have to talk about, but I don't know if I could talk to you off the air.
Yes, man. Then I'm the same place we come from.
Yes.
Good to have you.
I need to.
Yes, and say hi to Miss Cooley for me.
Yes, when I go down there. I plan to go down there next week.
Yeah, because the last time I saw her, my auntie, Auntie Jenny, died.
Yes.
And I went down to Auntie Jenny's funeral and she was there.
Yes, I remember, yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Shields.
Good to hear you, Cher.
Okay.
All
Can
right.
I leave the number?
Hold on, talk to my producer.
Thank you.
And let her give you the number. Yeah?
Okay, thanks.
Fancy that. Romeo, see that? The people from country, you know, come from the same place. Fascinating. And from she know Marsasville From she knows the masters will build that house with back stopper, she definitely come from Grange. And from she knows from the schoolie, Miss Porter live across the road from May Mellis. She definitely come from Grange. I mean, if she did say them live on the same side, me know so she a counterfeit because them don't live on the same side and live across the road. Anyway, it's a beautiful moment. I don't want to take any more calls in Hotline Interface because I'm coming up on the time for us to break and go to headlines and so forth. But you can call me on the other side of the break. I want to just implore Inspector Sheldon Gordon, if you are listening, I'd still love to talk with you on Hotline to get some of the answers to the issues that we have raised. And I would love to hear your calls on the other side on the issue of abortion, a matter over which Father Richard Holong, who is a treasure and asset for the country, is willing to die. So this thing becomes highly emotional for many people. Want to hear your thoughts on that, plus other matters. Can I thank my entire production team, and thank you to the two people who got through, particularly Cher, as I reminisced about my country, Grange. Morning to the people in Grange and Glenbrook and Fort William and all over. Thank you to my production team.